Wake up and smell the coffee, Mr. LaRusso.
Extreme situations require extreme measures.
Yes, play about it.
Yours guys, back to Cobra Kai Karate. Go back to brand new video, and I just got done watching Daredevil, Born Again, episode 8. Literally just got done, and yeah, I'm a bit shocked by this episode. For a little bit of bad, but mostly good. I think this episode was very interesting and very well done, and I think that, as my title shows, it was beautiful, and that's really what my main praise for this episode was. It was just a very beautiful episode, in the visuals, in the story, in the theme, and the dialogue. I thought it was just a very pleasant thing to watch. And yeah, so we're gonna get right into this episode. For certain episodes, I like to try to go like some I like to go scene by scene from the beginning to the end, talk about the good and bad. Some I like to just start with the bad, then go to the good. I really don't know how to do this because this episode there's a lot to talk about, and I feel like if I just start with the bad, it's gonna sound negative when I really don't want to go with that impression. But I think that's the best way to do it, because I start from the beginning and end, it's going to be just intermixed and intertwined with so many different things. So we'll just get into the things I did not like about this episode. And really, it's not really a certain thing. It's really just following what they've been doing. I guess just a couple of things. Now that this is approaching the end of the season, still no Karen Page is very bothering. It's very disappointing. The fact that she's not in this show is just really at all, just really not right in my opinion, considering how good of a character she was in both Daredevil and Punisher, and how much things you could have done with her character after Foggy's death, and the fact that she is not even here. Even if she does show up in the finale, which I don't think she even will, but if she does, it's not really going to seem that much. So that's very disappointing, because to be honest, she should have been in the whole season, but like them wanting to hold back her character, exploring new themes, that's alright, but to not have her only in one or maybe 2 episodes, just not right to me. Another thing I still don't really like is the side character is still not interesting. A lot of the setup to this episode was exploring a lot of side characters' ideas, which I thought was just not interesting. I still think that like I said, I don't even know their names. Hersey, Kersey, Cherry, I think that's it. The cop, he's just not interesting. There's really no nuance to him. The girl lawyer, there's no nuance to her. They're just there. And yeah, I guess Kingpin's, butt buddies that work for him are also not interesting. I just really don't know what their purpose is in the show and why they get so much screen time when they serve such a little purpose to an arc or a bigger story. I just don't see it to me. But outside of that, the only other thing I can say is I do think that this episode wasn't necessarily structured well. Like some of the stuff that happens with the characters and the pacing, I feel like it's just kind of jumping the gun on some things. For example, like a lot of the good stuff that happened this episode, which I'm going to talk about, doesn't really feel set up. So even when it happens and it's good, it just doesn't feel right because it's not consistent with what the characters and show has been and been doing. That's a bit that's a little bit disconnect for me. Kind of like Cobra Kai C6 Part 3. I loved Part 3, but it was so different from Part 1 and Part 2 that even though it's good, is it really good for the bigger story? And is the bigger story even good with this? Though that's kind of my only other problems. Most of my problems are just small stuff. It's not really big. I mean, I say this stuff just because I'm reviewing it, but this stuff doesn't really bother me that much. I'm kind of already accepted these flaws in the show, and they've been consistent, and you really just can't get rid of them, to be honest, since they've already started them. Lots of things I like, and I think it's just right for me to talk about the thing that the title of the video is about, is the beautifulness. And you get to that last scene, the cinematography, the sound, the visualization, I can't say that word at all, but I thought it was very well done, and that's what the show's been missing. You go back to the original show, I've been saying it for a long time, it's just these really nice, slow, amazing, well-paced, well-acted, well-cinematographed scenes that it's just beautiful. It's almost like walking in a museum. It really is beautiful. And this episode we finally get to see that with the shots we get to see of Bullseye, which we're going to talk about a little bit. That was spectacular. The shots of Daredevil, the shots of just how they build the tension in that final scene with those shots was very well done. And I just thought it was just a very beautiful episode. And that last shot of Daredevil lying down with the blood, it turns red. I will say, I think they're kind of forcing the turning red thing a little too much. Like in the show, it happened for a reason. It's like, okay, why did he even turn red? But it doesn't really matter. It was still a beautiful shot, a beautiful moment. But now on to more specifics with this, and to the things I like. We get to the Bullseye stuff, and the episode follows Bullseye. He escapes, and I guess Kingpin moves him to a prison for him to get killed, which makes sense. And we do find out that it was actually Vanessa. Before I talk about that, I want to talk about they kill the dude. What's his name? Adam. Is that his name? They kill him. Well, Vanessa kills him, which I thought was pretty shocking. But I think it does make sense for her character, because if you watch season 3 of Daredevil, she really was turning evil. And although I do not think this is necessarily set up for her this season, we do see more of her not being a good person. And I feel like murdering someone is just a huge step to kind of jump to get there. But I still think it does make sense for her to do that. And then we do find out that she was the one who put out to kill Foggy, which also does make sense, since she did put her husband in jail. That was a huge emotional moment, and since he was already turning evil in season 3, it does not shock me for her to go out and try to seek revenge, as we do. I think Vanessa's a very interesting character. I think, her and Kingpin's sick relationship is very interesting. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. It was a nice twist. I don't think it was necessarily expected, so I thought that was interesting. And I also love the idea of, Matt going to visit Kingpin, Bullseye, and he says, like a good man, they will defend their enemies, which is also a thing that is, it's a practice that's well known for in the Bible and religion, which we see Matt's been so distant from, and he hasn't really connected to that. And even outside of the religious aspect, it's just a thing that he's always shown to believe in, try to look in the good and the evil. And when we get to the final scene where he realizes that it was her, and he knows that he's about to kill Kingpin, he actually jumps in it and takes the bullet for Kingpin, which shows he doesn't want him to die because he knows he's innocent, which I think is a very powerful thing, to risk your life for someone like him, because I think it's just something that shows a lot more something is in Matt's character. But at the same time, it wasn't structured right. We don't really get to see him start to process these emotions. They're just there, which they are there. It is a very good episode, but following what this show has been, just 2 episodes ago, we had a whole episode of him just doing a bank robbery, stopping a bank robbery, and then the another episode of him just talking and walking around, not really doing anything. So it's where do we get here? But just back to this episode, I think, the acting was done well, the dialogue was done well. They're really picking up on, I think, like I said, the visuals, the shots, and the acting and dialogue. They're doing all that stuff very, very well. But overall, a lot of the setup to this episode was pretty boring. I do think that the show is still missing the touch, which I think is just, I think it is inevitable to reach at this point, and our expectation shouldn't really be there, since it really cannot reach there. And why Feige got rid of the original writers is beyond my comprehension, but I guess he just wanted something a little bit more, because here's the thing, people that understand and love the Daredevil show, the original show, they'll love it more than anything. Any person can love a Marvel show or a Marvel movie or Endgame or Infinity War, because it's so good when you understand it and you actually understand what that show's about and you watch it. That is a euphoric experience. That's why it's so highly praised inside Marvel. But people that do not understand it and do not like slower pacing, which is a lot more of a broader audience in MCU, they'll just find it boring. They will just find it all right. They will find this a lot more interesting because it's a lot more action-packed. It's a lot more stuff like that. So I feel like that's why he did it, but I just feel like that's so disingenuous. And you can see he's still trying to play both sides, and holding, like, trying to balance them. But you really cannot balance stuff like this, because at the end of the day, you're going to frustrate both fandoms. But I think this episode collectively, I think the people that are looking for the action, looking for the more on the nose Daredevil, people looking for the beautiful cinematography and cinema Daredevil, I think they both watch this episode and find collective enjoyment, even if some more than less and less more than others. I think this episode actually balanced both of those very well, and that's why I'm going to give this a solid 8.4, maybe an 8.5, which is my biggest rating I've given this episode. I don't think I've barely creeped into the 8s. Even the episodes I gave an 8, I never really fully was confident, and sometimes I took them back and they were really light 8s. So yeah, this is an 8.4. I thought it was a very well episode, beautiful episode, and I'm very excited for the finale. I'm hoping that they do a lot of stuff. I know Punisher will be in it, and I hope it does something very well. And I hope, even though it's kind of too late, we gotta see Karen Page. But anyway, that's my review. Let me know if I thought about the comments down below. See you guys next time. Always remember, as soon as we got extreme measures, peace out.